Hearts are surprising everyone right now with their rock-solid start to the Scottish Premiership season. They've got 6 wins, 1 draw and 0 defeats to their name, which is why they are currently top of the Scottish Premiership, ahead of Celtic and miles ahead of Rangers. They can't even see Rangers from where they are in the table. And Derek McInnes is building something special at Tynecastle, and in this video we are going to look at whether or not Hearts are serious title contenders or not. Please let me know in the comments below what you have made of Hearts start the season and whether or not they could actually challenge Celtic all the way to the end of the season. So Hearts start to the season. They have beaten Aberdeen, they have beaten Dundee United, Livingston, they have won away at Ibrox, they've defeated Hibernian and Falkirk as well, and they've drawn 1 game, which was against Motherwell at home, but they were 3-0 down in that one and drew 3-3. So I suppose you could argue that they've shown their, sort of title-winning credentials. That's something that is often said. You are facing adversity and you manage to rescue a point. So they have shown plenty of character to start the season. Of course, last time out, they scored a last-minute goal to win against Hibs in the Edinburgh Derby. And again, that showed the character. And we'll often hear this about teams that win honours. It's showing that grit and determination to fight the end and get the late goals, which get you 3 points. And Hearts, so far through the first couple of months of the season, have shown that they have that mentality and all of those, title-winning credentials in abundance. Obviously, the 2 results that stand out from this is the 2-0 away win at Ibrox. And look, we can talk, and we have talked at length about Rangers on this channel, and Rangers obviously not in a great place right now, but the fact is Hearts went there and won that game 2-0, and they deserve massive credit for that. They also, of course, defeated Hibs, which is a huge result for them and a big morale boost to beat your local rival. And with Rangers looking so far off the pace this season, Celtic also looking quite vulnerable right now, the question is whether the Jambos can maintain this start of the season and put a serious title push on Celtic, who probably, after watching Rangers at the start of the season, Celtic have probably thought, this title's going to be a shoo-in for us again. But hopefully, for the neutral fans, we'll get a bit of a title race in Scotland. And look, we're not suggesting that Hearts will win it come the end of the season. That would obviously be very difficult. But they could push Celtic all the way to the end of the season, and that would be fascinating to see somebody named not Celtic or Rangers really pushing for the title. So I like to look at the underlying data, and I know lots of people do not love XG and all that sort of stuff, but I think it gives you an indication of how well a team is really doing. I mean, fundamentally, it doesn't matter what your XG is as long as you win a game of football, but I think long-term over the course of a season, you can learn a lot from a team's XG, and generally it evens out come the end of the season. Right now, Hearts are currently sat 4th for expected goals with 10.9 to their name. That is lower than Motherwell, Hibs and Celtic, with Celtic having an XG of 14. So there's a bit of a gap there. Hearts currently being very, very clinical with their finishing, and look, you can maintain that if you've got top level finishers, but you probably would expect a regression there at some point. In terms of expected goals against, Hearts are doing really well. They are second in the table with 6.3 against, and look, it's no surprise that Celtic are top with 4.6. Rangers are third with 7.5. So there's not a huge gap there. It suggests that Hearts are, a very solid defensive team, conceding roughly less than 1 XG per game right now. So that is, very, very important, and it does show that they are likely to be one of the best defensive teams in the Scottish Premiership this season. But I think big chances is something that's quite interesting, and Hearts have been very clinical. They've scored 15 goals this season from 16 big chances created, whereas Celtic have scored just 11 goals from 28 big chances created. So you would expect that Hearts probably won't maintain that level of clinical finishing, while also you could say that Celtic are likely to see an increase of goals if they continue to create so many big chances per game. So there is question marks, I think, with the underlying data, but I think fundamentally having points on the board and showing the level of performance Hearts have, I think is maybe enough to negate that. But I think you would say that they will have to improve the underlying data if they are to maintain a title charge this season. Last season, for example, Hearts finished underperforming their XG they finished roughly about level on their expected goals against. So they were, as you would pretty much expect this season, they are overperforming both. So you would think that maybe that will regress at some point. But what are the reasons to feel confident about Hearts mounting a serious title challenge? And I think you have to look at Celtic themselves and say that that football club isn't happy right now. It feels like it could implode. They've not had a great start of the season. Their performances haven't been the best. They went to Ibrox, in August when Rangers were at a really low point and, dropped in a stinking performance, drew 0-0. And I think at the moment right now, Celtic feel like a club that is just a little bit in transition. Brendan Rodgers and his future is a little bit up in the air. And it's probably ripe for a team to exploit that. I mean, if we don't want to talk about Rangers too much in this video, but Rangers right now will feel like it's a missed opportunity. The fact that they are such a mess right now, with Celtic looking like they are heading into a period of being a mess. The cycle generally in Scotland is that, Rangers do very well, Celtic do poor, and then it flips. Maybe Hearts can insert themselves in that conversation and, exploit the fact that both Rangers and Celtic seem to be in a little bit of a lost place right now. And Hearts have a lot of players in seriously good form. I'm just going to read off some of the top performances this season. But Cameron Devlin, Harry Milne, Stuart Finley, Craig Halkett, Lawrence Shackland, Alexandros Kizridis, and they've also got Claudio Braga, have all started the season in very good form. And I think the exciting thing for Hearts fans is that they brought in quite a lot of players this summer, and the more they obviously play together and train together, the better, in theory, this squad should become. And obviously, as the season goes on, that means they're more likely to pick up more points if that is the case. Yes, you can pick up injuries and whatnot, and look, you can't, necessarily play for that. You have to just accept that that will happen in a season. But I think as well, this team's passed a lot of serious tests this season. The win against Hibs was massive. The win against Rangers was massive. We're going to look ahead to some of their games coming up. But it feels like this team has shown that grit and determination to pick up points when they've been, under the caution, things haven't been going their way. So looking ahead, and before the next international break, Hearts have Kilmarnock away, Celtic at home, St Mirren away, Dundee at home, and Dundee United at home. And I think a lot of people will look at that Celtic game and go, "Whoa, that is the big one. That'll be the determining factor as to, whether or not Hearts are a serious contender for Celtic." But I actually think the other four games are probably more important, because the way that Hearts challenge for the Scottish Premiership title this season doesn't rely really on beating Celtic in the four times that they'll play them. What it actually relies on is them picking up points against all the other teams in the league, the teams that are lesser in the league. They need to beat Kilmarnock, St Mirren, Dundee and Dundee United. 4 wins there will keep them in the title charge. Losing against Celtic, yes, obviously it would be a big blow on the day, but that isn't the determining factor as to whether or not you win the league. And I think Hearts have to look at the games against the lesser sides in the league and think we have to win all of them if we are going to be serious about finishing, in the top 2 and really pushing Celtic at the end of the season. So I think it's natural to look at that Celtic game and go, that's going to be really exciting. And look, from a neutral perspective, that's going to be a fascinating game. That's going to be a game that is going to be must-see TV. But I think overall, Hearts have to look at the games against the teams that are going to be finishing lower than them and think we have to win those games if we are to have a serious title challenge. Because if they win 4 of these games and lose against Celtic, by the start of the next international break, they will be probably still at the top or maybe second in the league and very, very close to Celtic in terms of points totals. So in my opinion, those are the games for Hearts. It's the games that aren't against Celtic that are important. It's the games that they have to win against the lower sides of the league that they are better than. So my overall verdict on this and the question of can Hearts win the league? Well, I think Hearts have a tentative chance. And look, to say that they are going to be able to push Celtic all the way, I could see that. I could see Hearts maybe when we get to the break with 33 games on the clock and we play the top 6. Maybe Hearts could be in that conversation to potentially still overtake Celtic, but it's going to be really difficult for them with the resources Celtic have, the manager Celtic have, all the players that they have. It's going to be so difficult for anyone to really break their dominance. But I think if anyone this season is going to do it, it will be Hearts. I think Rangers are too far away, and I think this is a good point for Hearts to maybe be a foundation for years to come. Can they add to this squad? Can they build on what they have done so far this season? So I would say be a Herculean effort if Hearts are in the conversation with a few games left to go of the season. But it's very difficult to see them being able to topple Celtic just because of everything Celtic have in their favour. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Please also subscribe to the channel and also leave a comment on who you think will win the Scottish Premiership. Can you see a team like Hearts, you know, eventually, maybe not this season, but maybe next season, the next few years, toppling one of the old firm? So thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you for another video soon.